What's going on, guys? Mike here, and today I want to talk to you guys about TFSA and RRSP and how I choose between the two. Before we do, please make sure you subscribe and like this video, and let's get to it. So one of the things that I find that people don't talk about very often is when comparing TFSA and RRSPs is the aspect of not reinvesting your tax return. And by not doing this, it actually has a significant change in the outcome of your investments. So looking at my screen here, we're going to look at three different options. We're going to have the TFSA, we're going to have an RRSP, and we're going to have RRSP with reinvested tax return. We're also going to assume that in these comparisons, we're going to do $6,500 in all options. And the reason why I'm choosing $6,500 is because TFSA currently in 2023 has a maximum of $6,500 contribution. Obviously, things change if you have more than $6,500 to invest, so you may want to do one and mix it with another, but in this one, we're just doing $6,500. In this comparison, we're also assuming that we're going to have 5% return across the board, because depending on whether we go with TFSA or RRSP, we're going to invest in exactly the same thing, so it won't actually change. We're also going to assume that these are going to be invested for 15 years. So this is just going to show you that after 15 years, the $6,500 will turn into just over $10,000, okay? Now, one thing to also realize is that if we are investing in RRSPs, we also will have a tax return. So again, obviously it's empty for the TFSA, but we have it populated for both options under RRSP. In this comparison, I'm also using a 40.5 tax return bracket, a 40.5 tax bracket. And if you were to invest in $6,500 into any one of these vehicles for RRSP, you're going to net around $2,600. So as a part of our comparison, on the one where we reinvest the tax return, we also are going to assume that if we reinvested this $2,600 after 15 years, because it's invested in all the same things above, it's going to net around $5,500. Okay, so just kind of being able to total that all up, after 15 years has gone by, we would have, again, $10,000 in both our TFSA and the RRSP that didn't have the reinvested return, and we'd have $16,000 in our RRSP with the reinvested return. So I'm just going to kind of show you the one difference here. I'm going to leave the reinvested one out temporarily, but again, at the end of it, we need to realize that we are going to be paying taxes on the RRSP that compared to a TFSA. So if your intentions are to not reinvest and your main goal is to have the most money as you can in retirement with what you are investing, then in this scenario, the TFSA would actually be your better option, just because you're actually, roughly $2,000 less in your retirement years. Now, of course, everyone's situation is different. Maybe you do want to, maybe this is something that you're okay with, and you want to have that extra $2,600 to, go towards house maintenance now, or maybe you have a family trip you're planning for and you want to use the tax return for that. That's all acceptable. Everyone's goals are different than everyone else's. I just don't think that, from what I've kind of gathered from people that I've talked to and seen online, is no one's ever talked about this. So again, now just kind of looking at it, that if you were going to reinvest that tax return, you would actually end up with $13,700 compared to just $10,000. Okay, so again, this is also assuming that you're in a 15% tax bracket during your retirement years, and that will obviously fluctuate. I'm just using simple numbers right now to just kind of get the point across, right? So if your main goal is to have the most return in retirement, then it would be to obviously reinvest your dividends and invest into an RRSP. If it's not, then a TFSA, whether you want to do with a TFSA or an RRSP, with or without the return reinvested. So again, everyone's situation is so different, and I just really wanted to highlight this because, again, people don't notice that or don't really think of it. Another thing when it comes to RRSP, when you are reinvesting your tax return, is that the return has a compounding aspect to it as well. So, this first year we had a $2,600 return, but if you put that $2,600 into an RRSP and then you also invest another $6,500, well, now you've actually are going to get even a higher return the next year. and it's just going to keep happening over and over and over again. So, if you keep doing this, it definitely has a compounding aspect to it that just brings more benefits, right? Again, everyone's situation is different. People might be looking to TFSA to max it out first because they want to make sure that they have funds that are tax-free in retirement for emergencies and that kind of thing, which again is fully acceptable. But the goal in this video was just to kind of highlight the differences, whether you're reinvesting or not reinvesting your tax return, and what that compares to a TFSA as well. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks.